Hi, I'm Sheena Cooper, Director of Marketing and Strategic Communication for Durham Public Schools.
And I'm Crystal Kempson Roberts, Communications Specialist in the Office of Public Affairs. And have we got some stories to tell you?
Welcome to Behind the Spark, a podcast produced by the Office of Public Affairs with the help of Digital Communications Specialist Tony Cunningham Jr.
All of the stories that we have to tell you about students, staff, and teachers will educate and inspire you.
Because we are DPS.
Yep, that's us. Stay tuned.
Hello, DPS families and Durham community. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Behind the Spark. Today, we are excited to have Deputy Superintendent for Operational Services, Dr. Julius Monk, join us to talk to us a little bit more about Durham Public Schools' construction and renovation projects. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Absolutely. So we are fresh off the heels of the ribbon cutting of Lions Farm Elementary School, which welcomes students and staff in August. Let's celebrate that. We are super excited about that. And it's a beautiful school. I am a parent of a Lions Farm student, so I was super excited to see where she would be learning each and every day. And I know that that type of learning environment is one that we want to ensure that every student in Durham Public Schools has the chance to experience. So let's talk about that. Let's talk big picture. We have a plan. And Durham Public Schools is working that plan, and it's connected to our Growing Together initiative. It's connected to the strategic plan for the district, and it's connected to the capital improvement plan. So let's talk about the CIP first. What is that?
So CIP stands for Capital Improvement Program, and we worked in conjunction with the county to develop it. And it'll be our program over 10 years. Where we will do system replacements across the district, as well as build new schools and do renovations and additions. It is derived, though, from our strategic plan. Any good organization is going to have a good strategic plan to help them meet their vision, and ours does the same. Part of our strategic plan 5 goal is to make sure that we have adequate spaces for all of our elementary K-3 students, as well as having a safe learning environment for them as well. And so we took that strategic plan, applied it to our priority list for our capital improvement plan, and that's how we came up with the projects that we have on our 10-year capital improvement plan.
Cool. So the CIP is interwoven into the strategic plan. What about the Growing Together initiative? How does that fit in?
Absolutely. The Growing Together initiatives also spurred from the strategic plan.
Okay.
In order to have those facilities and to meet the K-3 class size mandate from the general statute, we had to do some boundary changes in our elementary schools. We have some schools that are overcrowded and we have others that are underutilized. And the Growing Together initiative addresses some of those things. But beyond the operational impacts of Growing Together, there's also some academic impacts where we're providing more equity across the district for the programs that we're doing in our schools and making sure that all schools are great schools.
That's a wonderful thing to know.
Absolutely fantastic. And so when we have this landscape of Lions Farm Elementary, which was, I want to say, I remember moving into my neighborhood and seeing that sign out there for about 10 years or so now. So to see that school actually built and students walking in every single day is exciting. But we're starting to see that momentum really building across the district with Murray-Massenburg. We're going to be doing the groundbreaking for that in October, which is really, really exciting. Northern is nearing completion, and we've got renovation projects all lined up. So what is this growth, the physical growth of the district from a capacity standpoint of being able to house students? What does that mean for Durham Public Schools?
So like you, before we built Lions Farm, I went and walked it with some of the neighbors and seeing the rich history that's associated with it, the old stones and remnants from the houses that was there, and hearing the stories from the Lions family about what that property meant to them. And seeing how a new facility shows how Durham can continue to grow. Durham has added residents who have brought children to our district, and we want to make sure that they have a space to learn and grow as well. But we can't build those things overnight. right? And so we have to do this pre-planning and construction to make sure that we have suitable spaces for students whenever they do arrive.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Monk, for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast. We hope to have you back soon. And now we're going to talk to some more folks who can give us more details about construction in Durham Public Schools and renovation projects.
Thank you, Dr.
This is our vision. So how do we make this vision a reality? We're pleased to have Frederick Davis, Executive Director of Building Services for Durham Public Schools, here with us today, as well as Principal Matt Hunt of Glenn Elementary. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here at Glenn.
Thank you so much for hosting us in the Media Center. There's no better place to be right here where our students are learning and growing every single day to have this conversation about growing our facilities within Durham Public Schools.
Absolutely. So we've set the stage for our big picture plan, but schools just aren't built overnight. So, Mr. Davis, how does a school get built and who is involved?
Thank you for that question, Crystal. So, under the leadership of our Deputy Superintendent of Operations, Dr. Monk, we pride ourselves on being shovel ready. And what that means is that we do the planning in the back end. And so 2 years ago in 2019, we set forth a 10-year capital improvement plan. And that was based on a third-party facility assessment that looked at all of our buildings from the interior to exterior building envelope, our systems, and placed a numerical grade on it. And from that numerical grade, it let us know what schools need to be placed in a priority order in which Glenn is one of those schools that will be receiving new renovations and design addition work.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And you talked about that priority order. So can you tell us a little bit more about that and who gets a new school or where you place a new school versus what schools get renovated?
Great question, Ms. Cooper. So it's twofold. We build new schools to deal with the growing population here in the Triangle, and specifically Durham. For that, we must have available land. And as you're aware, in this state of the economy, land is sparse. And so we have to be innovative to deal with the capacity and make sure that we have what we call educational suitability. And so we build new schools for capacity, and we also renovate schools based on the facility assessments, as well as what we're in now currently is a 21st century learning environment. And we know that students, as Mr. Hunt will definitely attribute to, learn in various different ways. And so we look at the four walls that we consider a classroom and see how we can have collaborative spaces, innovative spaces that go into those renovations. And so the renovations really deal with the amount of land availability. Here at Glenn Elementary, as well as some of our other high priority schools on our list, they have mobiles, which are intended to be temporary. A part of a strategic goal here at DPS is to have every student in the classroom and not in mobiles. As you would imagine, if some students have to be in the mobiles versus others inside the classroom, it could be a barrier to success. And operations definitely does not want to be a barrier to the academic achievement of students here at DPS.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to Mr. Hunt in just a few moments, but one more question for you, Mr. Davis. What are the current construction or renovation projects? We know that Glenn is on that list.
Yeah, so again, roughly about 20 projects are within the 10-year capital improvement, and we will assess that each year as trends happen in the academic realm as well as in the construction operations realm. But currently, in the next 5 years, we have 6 elementary school renovations: Glenn, Moorhead, Club, Holt, Mangum, and the last one is, I apologize for my not knowing it up front. Is that 6? I think that's 6. And then we have 2 new schools, one a high school, Durham School of the Arts, and then another elementary school, Murray-Massenburg Elementary. Again, those 2 new schools deal with the capacity of Durham and its growth, as well as the educational suitability. Currently, Durham School of the Arts is housed in a historic, traditional, comprehensive high school that does not make it conducive to the arts that people talk so much about here in Durham and regional and in the state.
That's exciting. You all are busy.
Yes, we are.
To
Job
say the
security,
least.
as they
Yes.
say. Yes.
In a word.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it has to be very exciting to hear that Glenn is on the list of those schools to be renovated in the very near future, Mr. Hunt. So tell us, as a school leader, what does this mean for you, your teachers, and the Glenn community?
I could take this in a ton of different directions. At first, I think to go back, I started in Durham Public Schools in 2005 as a teacher. I was teaching at Northern High School, and spent 11 years as a teacher and then eventually principal there. And knowing that they are about to open up a new school, just thinking about how exciting that is for that community to be at this point now where they're getting into the new school. And I think it adds so much to their community in terms of that campus had, I think, 6 different buildings possibly, moving into a space now where provides more opportunity for staff collaboration. More activities can actually take place on campus. And I think we all want to be in a space that just feels good. And so here at Glenn, extremely excited about what that will do for our community. Number one, I think it will just generate excitement. At Glenn, years ago, we were part of a restart model here. I know where there may have been some challenges, and so to have this excitement around the community, we had a huge year academically last year, one of the best in the school's history. And I think thank you, our teachers and students and families did an incredible job, and so to have this momentum now and to see a new building on the horizon is extremely exciting. And so I know now putting my DPS parent hat on, when we visited, it seems like a long time ago. My daughter's a freshman now. So, but when visiting schools for the first time, knowing that you're going to send your child to kindergarten feels like in the moment the biggest decision you've ever had to make, right? And I know, being in schools, that our kids are going to be successful, wherever they land. But as a parent, as a family member, it has this huge weight. And so how you feel when you walk in the front door, how you feel when you talk to somebody in the office, how you feel when you walk down the hallway, really means a lot in terms of how you feel about the school experience. So we are thrilled that things are going extremely well here at Glenn, but only better in years to come with our new space.
Fantastic.
And if I could, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I did remember, to those who may be watching or listening, Bethesda is the 6th school that is on that list. So Bethesda, Glenn, Moorhead, Club, Mangum, and Holt will all receive major renovation additions.
Great. Thank you so much. So in the first segment of this podcast, we spoke with Dr. Monk, and he talked about the strategic plan and how all of that is interwoven in this work. So for you, Mr. Hunt, part of that strategic plan, priority 5, speaks to ensuring fiscal and operational responsibility is the big umbrella. But it also talks to our obligation to improve physical environment, to enhance student learning and ensure safety. The plan also speaks to 100% of elementary schools having adequate, appropriate space to accommodate reduced class sizes in kindergarten through 3rd grade. It's a heavy lift. So, what does a safe, educationally suitable school look and feel like to you as an instructional leader? I heard you talk about teacher collaboration. But what does that look like for you as a leader?
Sure. We had the opportunity. It was extremely exciting. We had some of the architects come in a series of meetings, and so they showed us a lot of designs about what schools can look like, and they talked to us about our needs. So they actually met with all of our specialist teachers. So they met with our music teacher, our media coordinator, our STEM teacher, our PE teacher. I'm blanking at a few others, but they met with all of our specialists to talk about how can we maximize our program? How can we make it the most meaningful experience for our students? We're also blessed here at Glenn and also in DPS to have an awesome staff, but also many staff members in terms of English as a second language teachers, exceptional children's teachers, academically gifted teachers, reading interventionists. And so while we're blessed to have so many people that can work with our students, and I think that contributes to our student growth, it also presents space challenges. And so we talked about in the new building having a lot of flexible spaces. So there are mini classrooms throughout that wing that can be used by a host of different people. So comfortable student seating, a whiteboard, access to technology, so that if it's an ESL teacher, an EC teacher, or a small reading group, that space is available at any time during the day for that student. In addition, we're building a outdoor education program. We're in our first year here. And so all the research in the world shows that if students are here for nearly 40 hours a week, we want to make sure that they have a lot of transitions, a lot of different experience, exposure to the outdoors. And so I think the construction will lend itself to having both outdoor spaces and flexible indoor spaces. So all of our staff is really excited about that.
That is exciting.
That's fantastic. And I know you touched on the opportunities that exist and some things that you've even implemented now with the outdoor learning components. But how do you get creative utilizing a facility that's older with the students and the capacity that you have to serve them? What are some of those other things that you're doing to be able to maximize learning in this space right now?
That's a great question. Probably ask a lot of questions of people who are smarter than me. So I think honestly to ask our K-5 teachers, for instance, who really, think about our students and having worked at the high school level where you have, if you're a student, you work with 4 teachers every day, you have a wide net of people. At the elementary level, your K-5 teacher is really going to drive your experience. Maybe 90% of your day is driven by the quality of that teacher and the experience you get from them. And so hearing from them about what their needs are or different creative things that we can do throughout the building to enhance learning experience, I really lean on them to help us make those decisions. And also thinking about this, and I didn't mention it before, thinking about those teachers, we're in a really competitive environment. Durham and every county in North Carolina, in terms of there's all sorts of news across the nation and the state about teacher shortages. And so I think having architects come in and say, how can we make this experience better for your teachers, which will in turn make a better experience for students, is a huge deal in terms of teacher recruitment, which will make a better experience for our students.
Yeah. I just want to say, Sheena, hats off to innovative school leaders and to operational services. When I was coming up, and they know that I'll talk about my age in a heartbeat, but when I was coming up, I was sharing with Sheena as we were preparing that I don't remember being in an unsuitable or an uncomfortable environment. I don't remember being cold or hot. We had our cafeteria, we had our outdoor space, and the teacher relationships were excellent. I still remember Miss Brennan from 5th grade. So obviously our building services department was doing its job and doing a very good job. And my principals in elementary, middle, and high, I had very good experiences. And so, when you grow up and you're able to look back, hindsight is 20/20, you really come to appreciate the work that's being done from your standpoint, Mr. Hunt, and as well, Mr. Davis. So thank you so much on behalf of the district.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today. We so much value your time and your dedication to Durham Public Schools and its students. For those of you who want to know more about building services, don't hesitate to visit dpsnc.net. Also on engage.dpsnc.net, we have information about all of our active construction projects, so you can get a little bit more information about timelines and your opportunities to engage and learn more. And thank you again, and we look forward to having you back on the podcast at another time. We look forward to coming back to Glenn to see all of those renovations.
That's right.
We can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.